Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Week 9, Prop Nation. This is Sully. It's your boy, John. How do you feel? How do you feel this week, John?
Yeah, we were just taking a quick look at we were just comparing notes, and I'm glad we actually did that. We don't normally do that. Normally we surprise each other with our picks, but there's so much juiciness in this week. I'm excited now. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I'm glad we had that conversation because the look on your face with a couple of those lines is hilarious. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening in the NFL right now with some of these lines. I've never seen anything so kind of crazy. Anyway, how'd you do last week, John?
Last week was a busy week for me, so I didn't get a chance. We didn't record last week. Apologies for that. We've still been making adjustments in our lives, but I will say we'll get back to a more of a regular thing. I'm actually thinking of moving my Thursday night game now that I don't really have time to film it between the end of the Sunday slate and the start of Thursday. I'm thinking of doing the Monday night football game instead. I'll see what happens there.
Yeah, that's good. People would jam that.
Yeah, I think so. And those games have actually been genuinely really exciting. It's nice to have ESPN on the coverage. And so, yeah, I think that could work well. The Thursday night games, they just kind of always suck.
They've been stinky. I mean, the Jets, that was a good game. That was a good game. That
Garrett Wilson was amazing.
Yeah, that was insane. That was insane. But like the games are always so fishy. They're just weird on Thursdays.
Yeah.
I don't like betting Thursday game. I'm out of it. I don't like doing it.
As you've said. But good slate this weekend.
Great slate. Great.
Like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, of course. Follow us.
Ping. Yes. All right, we're kicking off the rust from being off for a week here.
Let's get into it. Yeah, let's get straight into it.
Let's just dive into it. There's a game that we both have a pick on here, and it is the Bills versus the Dolphins in Buffalo.
Right.
Why don't you tell me your pick and give me your reasoning, and then I'm going to give my pick, and it's the exact same reasoning, I'm sure. It's just more hilarious. But go on.
So I started out with a few picks here. So I always start by looking at DVOA, which is, for those who don't know, it's a defense adjusted value over an average. And it's basically it factors in how well a team is performing while taking into account strength of schedule and other factors outside of that as well. So all in all, basically the best thing you can do is just sort by who are the worst defenses and then who do you want to attack. And it's always the usual suspects. And I mean, Jacksonville is 32nd in DVOA defensively. That is absolutely awful. They're worse than the Carolina Panthers, who are 31st. But Miami is up there. Miami is 27th in defensive DVOA. So they've finally started to get it together on offense now that Tua's back. And I think that this has a bit of shootout potential, would you say? Over-under is sitting at 49.5. So there you go.
Yes. Hold on. Can I chime in on that, on the DVOA of this team?
Go.
I'll make it quick. That's a skewed stat. The defense has been on the field way more than they typically would be because of the quarterback play.
Yeah.
And it's not fair to the Dolphins defense to get thrown at 31 there because they're better than that. But they're going to have to prove it. But I don't think this week's the week that they prove it.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of points scored in this game. Anyway, go on.
So I started out, I was looking at Amari Cooper and Khalil Shakir. And usually when I like a few different receivers, rather than bet the overs on those receivers, I just take a look at what Josh Allen is doing. He's 237. You can get him on FanDuel for passing yards, which he's been smashing. Against the Titans, he went 320. Last week, he was 280 or thereabouts. So he's definitely got it together. They're throwing the ball a lot more. Relying less on James Cook, but there is a line here that I like in James Cook that I've been looking at. So if we have a look at how he's been performing this season, he has been, heavily used at the start of the season. It's kind of cooled a little bit, but he did have 111 rushing yards last week against Seattle. He had 3 catches for 22 yards. In fact, his line is for receiving yards is sitting at 15.5, and he's made that pretty much every single week this year that he has had a target. So he just missed it against Baltimore. He had the one catch for 9 yards, but every other week he's had at least 17 yards. So if you can get him at 15 and a half in a game where I think he's going to be heavily utilized, that's kind of the way I want to look at this one.
It feels almost fishy because he's been at 16 and a half and 17 and a half weekly.
Mm.
And for only having one bad week.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a bad week. It was one down week.
14 and a half on Bet365. So
yeah, it's wild. It's wild.
I'm into it.
But exploit the hell out of it. That's John. That seems like taking candy from a baby. I like it.
What do you think about the Josh Allen line or the Khalil Shakir line? Amari Cooper even?
When I last looked, Coleman and Cooper, the lines weren't made for them.
Yeah, Cooper, you're right. Cooper is not up here.
Is Coleman?
No, neither is Keon Coleman. There you go.
Yeah. Very bizarre.
Interesting.
Anyway, so yeah, it is. But those would be the two receivers that I would be targeting if I was targeting. I like Josh Allen for over his total. I do.
Yeah.
That's not my pick, but I do. I like Coleman in this.
Yeah, okay.
Touchdown.
Yeah, he has been good.
I'm not taking it, but I do like him for a touchdown. There might be a little sprinkle of a deep 5-leg touchdown parlay for a free bet on DraftKings or something.
This is the game to do it, I feel. Khalil Shakir has been really explosive. 107 yards last week, 65 against the Titans. He did have a down week against the Jets, but then 62, 72, 54. Like, he's been really good.
Yeah, the whole team's been pretty explosive. I like your pick, though. I think that would be my first choice.
Feed it into your pick, though. I like your pick better.
I want to hear your clip, your banner presentation, John, of that pick first, and then I will feed it into mine.
Let's go James Cook over 14 and a half receiving yards on Bet365.
Book it. That's easy. Okay. John, can you take a look, pull up Ray Davis and his
got him ready to go.
Cool. Can you let me know his top performing week and his lowest performing week since they started using him?
Okay. In any particular category or just game-wide stats?
Receiving.
In receiving. Okay. So against the New York Jets, he had 3 catches for 55 yards.
And then
the worst, the lowest was against Miami. He had 1 catch for -1 yards.
-1 yard. And then after that, so there was a couple games for 2 or 3 yards, right? In there?
Look, against Arizona in his very first game, he had 14 receiving yards. The other week against the Titans, he had 6 receiving yards. Against Houston, he had 4.
Okay. So now take all those games, and typically what Vegas would do here is they would take an amalgamation of those games and they would find a number somewhere in there that's fair. The line for Ray Davis opened at 1 receiving yard this week, and it was Halloween, and I couldn't lock it in because I didn't want to be antisocial and be that guy while I was at Halloween. Yeah, I didn't want to be that guy placing bets while my kid's walking around for Halloween. So I missed it. But then when I came back to it, it was at 2.5, and it's still at 2.5. Ray Davis is at 2.5 receiving yards in a game where Josh Allen will likely have 35 pass attempts.
Sure. Yep. He's been doing it.
Not every player is going to be open down the field all the time, and James Cook is going to get tired in this game, especially if he's running a lot of routes. How do you... I don't have words, John. Ray Davis over 2.5 receiving yards. Don't be dumb. Take it. It's a gift. Take it. Book it. Over 2.5. Go.
It's going to be nice weather in Buffalo in Western New York as well. 14 degrees and sunny. Beautiful day.
That pick is hilarious. Why is that line at 2.5?
Well, because in some games he's had -1 receiving. I kind of almost want to bet the under just for the
just for the content. Oh, God, if that doesn't hit, oh my God, I am going to laugh. I'm going to laugh. There's how? Come on. He's had a catch in every single game. He's had a catch in every single game. The
Think
average
about the Dolphins as well. Yeah, sorry, go.
No, I was just going to say the average of a running back when he catches a ball is approximately anywhere between 6 and 7 yards per reception. That's the average. He's at 2.5, and he's had a reception in every single game. That is like one of the biggest statistical anomalies. I don't understand it. It should be at 6.5. There is no reason for this to be at 2.5. I'm taking it. You should take it too. Everybody listening, take it. Ray Davis over 2.5 receiving yards. I had to do it again, John.
I'm actually not gonna tail this one.
You're not.
I'm not gonna tail this one. There's one later in the show that you have that I will absolutely tail though. But the Dolphins defense has just not been good enough at the moment. Jalen Ramsey is just not the player he once was. Javon Holland's going to be out. He's injured. Jordan Poyer's been okay. And then there's Cam Smith in the back line there. So I think the Bills are going to have a good time, especially playing at home against the Dolphins, who, they've just not really come on or found form, even with Tua back in the lineup. So let's attack.
Yeah, the defense is going to be on the field a lot, and they're going to be tired.
Yeah.
They're going to be chasing those receivers all over the field. But it's going to leave the underneath open. I like James Cook. I love that line for James Cook. Love the line. Love the line for Ray Davis. Love it.
All right, let's go to the next game then. So I guess I'll lead into my next pick, which I'm taking a look at the other team that I want to attack here is, I already talked about them, Jacksonville. Possibly the worst defense in the league. I mean, there's been plays where you've seen their players just completely giving up. What was the play? I feel like there was one play last week where defensively they had to make some sort of stop and they just could not do it. And it looked like the whole team had not even bothered to tackle. And just, I don't know what's going on with that team. But
they're a deflated football team right now for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, on them. Just go pick on them, John.
So here's where I want to look. They're playing the Eagles. Eagles are in absolute fucking form at the moment, man. They're 5-2 on the season. They haven't had the hardest schedule, but they've still been winning these gutsy games. Jacksonville 2-6. So Eagles are 7.5 point favorites in this one. They opened at 3.5 point favorites, and the over-under is 46. Currently, weather looks like it's going to be good. No chance of rain. It's going to be really warm as well in Lincoln Financial Field. So that looks good as well. It's going to be a nice day. I saw a really weird stat, and I don't think I actually agree with this. So maybe it was more of like a fantasy football stat, but someone was saying that when AJ Brown and Devonta Smith are on the field at the same time, that really negatively impacts Devonta Smith. But I just don't know if that's actually true, because I'm looking at Devonta Smith's stat lines. I mean, last week against Cincinnati, 6 catches, 85 yards and a touchdown. So he made his props there. Against Cleveland, he was 3 catches for 64. So he fell short by 1 yard, which is disappointing, but he did have a touchdown. And then to open the season.
Where did you read that? Where did you read that?
I heard it on someone's fantasy football podcast.
That,
I believe,
is a very bizarre thing to say.
It is, isn't it? It's kind of completely poorly thought out. So I heard that and I was like, oh, that's weird. I thought he'd been good. I guess not. But I'm looking at it. I'm like, no, that person should shut the fuck up, because 7 catches, 84 yards, 7 catches, 76 yards, 7 catches, 79 yards. Now, I know AJ Brown wasn't playing in week 2 and 3, but still, Devonta Smith has been absolutely fine.
Yep.
He's got a line this week of 55.5 receiving yards you can get him.
Oh.
Against one of the worst teams. It's low. AJ Brown's up to 82. It's like, fine, look, I'm sure AJ Brown's going to go off in this game, but I'm not going to bet it. And Jalen Hurts, his line is only 213.5 passing yards.
Why do you think that is, though, John? I think I have the answer, but why do you think that?
The Eagles are at home. Look, the only thing that I can think is that they get out to an early lead and then they spend the rest of the game rushing the ball.
That's right. I think that's exactly. If you look at the first half spread, I don't have it in front of me, but I have a feeling it's over a touchdown. It might even be 10 points.
Mm.
What is the first half? What's the line on that game?
As I mentioned, it's Eagles minus 7.5.
7.5. So that would mean that they probably have it at 3.5 or 4.
I'm seeing if I can find it. So first half is Eagles -4.
-4. Yeah, they definitely think the Eagles are going to be leading. That's not a heavy lead, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I see. And if the game does get out of hand by 2 scores, 2+ scores, 3 scores, uh, stats will probably say coming into the fourth quarter to reduce the workload for the starters. So
what about the storyline that Sirianni's been a bit under the pump lately?
or just beat the hell out of the opponent?
Yeah, and he'll want to come out and just like at home in Philly, just completely destroy the opposition, and they're in a position to do that.
Three runs all game.
I'm going to say Jalen Hurts will have over 300 passing yards in this game. I'm going to say he'll have I think he'll be way under his rushing line as well. I'm going to find his rushing prop lines because I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to be rushing very much in this game.
I don't think so either.
I don't think he's going to need to. His line is 39.5 rushing yards, and he's not been that at all.
That's an under. That's definitely an under.
His lines, he's rushing the last several weeks. So last week he had 37. So he would have been under. And that was after 10 rushing attempts. He had 22 the week before that, 33. He actually has only done that one time this year and that was against the Falcons in week 2. So I'm going to double down. I'm going to say Devonta Smith over 55.5 receiving yards. And I'm going to say Jalen Hurts under 39.5 rushing yards.
Ballsy, but I love it, John. That is a great call.
I'm going to go bet that right now.
Attaboy. That's a greasy one. I like it. The under. Yeah, it's always a tough call when you got a rushing quarterback. He finds one seam and he's gone. But to be honest with you, I don't think he's gonna have to.
Yeah.
I do not think he's gonna have to. I think that's a really good call, John.
Yeah. I actually think Jalen Hurts has the perception that he rushes a lot. He does have a lot of rush attempts. I'll give him that. He's capable of getting over 300 yards. He has done it one time this season. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, the
line's only 230. Take the line. It's 230. Just take that.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's good. If you have that narrative, like I think that's a good narrative to go off of going into this game.
Yeah.
And with betting, that's kind of what you have to do. You kind of have to picture the game in your head.
Yeah.
What you think the play calling is going to look like, and you make your best judgments on how you think the game's going to go. And I think you have a very good keyed in perception of this game early and often.
Yeah.
Score some touchdowns. Jalen Hurts might hit his over total by the first half. And even if the starters do sit, Devonta Smith is probably going to get his. He probably will.
Yeah. But, they say any given Sunday for a reason because anything can happen.
Yeah, anything can happen.
Imagine if this is like a massive letdown spot for the Eagles and the Jags come out and clean it. Like actually just win outright. Like I could.
Well, that's better for your Devonta Smith. That's better for your Devonta Smith pick.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's get into your next pick.
I got 2 picks in one game. The Bengals and Raiders. I normally don't like taking a lot of Bengals picks, but there's a couple.
What you love betting on Chase Brown?
I do like betting on Chase Brown. He's a boy.
Been doing it all season.
Good spot for him this week too.
Yeah.
But no, I really like. Well, here's the thing. I'll explain this before anything else. This is a must-win game for the Bengals. They have to win it. If they don't win this game, the whole season's pretty much toast.
Cooked. They're 3-5.
They're 3-5.
They're 7-point favorites. Over under is 45.5.
Vegas thinks exactly what I think, and I think it's a no mercy kind of game, and the Bengals need it to get the mojo going. I don't think you let up all game and you put the ball in your best player's hands. and you let him go to work. Live or die by Joe Burrow is going to be this game. The play calling is going to reflect it. Zach Taylor's coaching for his job the same way last year.
No way.
Yes,
He's
he
not
is.
coaching
100%.
for his job. What?
Yes, he is. Absolutely, he is.
Breaking. This is
absolutely.
I've not heard this.
Coaching. If they lose, John, if the Bengals lose, Zach Taylor's getting fired.
No, what? What are his odds of getting fired? I want to find that. Next coach fired.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're losing this game. But if they do lose, Zach Taylor will be fired. There's no way that he won't be. But yeah, anyway, the same way that last year, if you follow the show, Bijan Robinson hadn't been used at all. Hadn't been really unleashed, And when he was unleashed was when Artie Smith was playing for his job.
Mm.
Put the ball in your best player's hands. And that, this week, is Zach Taylor putting the ball into Joe Burrow's hands.
Absolutely.
So with that, there's a few lines that I do like from Joe Burrow. However, I'm going to take the 2+ passing touchdowns. Jamar Chase may have both of those. There may be 5 touchdowns thrown by the Bengals in this game. Take the 2. Happily take the 2. I also really like, he's got the alt line of 250 yards. It's pretty juicy. I like it. But yeah.
I was going to say, he's got a line of 263.5 passing yards. That's
easy peasy.
Wild. That's a lot.
Easy peasy. It's not.
That's too much for me.
He's going, it's a little rich for your blood. He's going 290 plus.
He's only done that twice this season.
Yeah, this one is going to be his best game.
True.
This will be his best game of the season, 100%. It has to be. Maybe the pressure gets to him, but this is Joe Cool we're talking about, With that being said, Joe Burrow, over 1.5 passing touchdowns. This is Joe Cool's game. Saving Zach Taylor, unless he wants him fired. Saving Zach Taylor. Bengals move. They stay alive. The hope stays there in Cincinnati. I stay happy. Thank you, Joe Burrow, for what you're about to do on getting this over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Thank you.
The thing I also like about that particular pick, I mean, he's been throwing a ton of touchdowns. He only had one last week against Philly. They did get blown out in the end. And then he didn't throw any against New York, but Giants have actually low-key got a very good defense. But then against Cleveland, 2 touchdowns. Against Baltimore, 5 passing touchdowns. Against the Panthers, 2. Washington, 3. And then the Chiefs, 2 as well. So, hell yeah.
Well, the narrative of this being his best game, come on. That line should have been 2.5. Should have been 2.5. They're going to shoot themselves. Take advantage of it. Now, on the other side,
with the 260.5 passing yards that he needs, you'd think that it would be a bit higher. But yeah, sorry, now go on.
No, I was just going to say on the other side of the ball, knowing how bad the Bengals are going to beat up on the Raiders, you're passing more than often, more than normal. And Madison has pretty much every game been looked at. I don't even know how many targets, probably 5 or 6 every single game. So he's there at 2.5 receptions. It's a running back for the Raiders. And I just think in order to keep the drives alive, you're going to be looking for yardage. It just seems like a good spot for Madison to have more than 3 catches. And yeah, I feel confident with that one by 5 minutes into the third quarter. What do you think?
He's actually been heavily utilized in the pass catching game. So you take away week 2 against Baltimore and take away Cleveland as well. He's had at least 2 catches in every single game. I mean, he's usually good for 3 to 4. So against Pittsburgh, he had 5 catches for 32 yards. Last week against Kansas City, 5 catches for 29 yards. Against the Rams, 3 catches for 31.
Those weren't blowouts. Those games were scheduled to be close.
Yeah. So, yeah, I really like that because what it also suggests is whether it's Minshew or Aiden O'Connell, it doesn't really make a difference. Dare I say, even Desmond Ridder, I think they're all going to throw the ball to him. So, yeah. I really like that.
Yeah, I think that's it's a safe pick. I don't like calling anything a lock, but it's safer than normal.
I don't like relying on Alexander Mattison for lock territory, but yeah, I mean, it could be there.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. So do it. Take it. Alexander Mattison, over 2.5 receptions. Book it.
All right. I'm going to jump to the divisional game now. My Seattle Seahawks, who are against the LA Rams, first time this season. This game's in Seattle. And Rams are favored -1.5 as well, which, given, I guess that the impact of DK Metcalf has been huge. The over-under is 48.5. I'm sorry, I'm so distracted by your camera. Have you noticed?
Oh, it's moving in and out. Yeah.
It's moving in and out, but also...
Though.
Yeah, when you talk for a long period of time, it slowly pans.
Yeah. When I did that, and I was like, "Hey, everybody, listen up closely. This is how I feel," and it like zoomed into my face, like up my nostrils.
And I was like,
so "Good."
Yeah, I was looking in and out.
You're
and
like,
I'm like, "Wow, is that yeah, is that closer than it was before?"
I'm like,
"Yeah,
come here."
yeah. Oh, that was beautiful. Anyway, please, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit like. But you should be watching on YouTube as well. All right, so I want to take a look at the Rams, who are traveling to Seattle to play Seahawks. Doesn't look like it's going to be too much of a chance of rain. And I'm going to talk about a guy who has been extremely boom or bust and extremely difficult to bet on, because whether you're betting the over or under, everything seems to be a coin flick with him. But Jackson Smith-Njigba, he's been very good. This is my guy. I have not given up on him, because when DK Metcalf has been out, he really comes alive. Last week was a tough matchup against Buffalo. 6 for 69 was his finish. Week before that against the Falcons, he was 3 for 9 though. And that was in a game where they went absolutely off. His best performance of the year, 12 for 117 against the Patriots back in week 2. He's had 8 for 51 against Detroit. So it fluctuates. He can be very, very up or very, very down. But I think in this line that they've got him at, it's sitting now, what did I say, 65.5?
Yeah, I think so. Somewhere around there.
Sorry, he's sitting at 56.5 receiving yards. So he has been a bit of a check down merchant, but it's not enough. I think that this isn't a good spot. The Rams as well defensively have not been very good. Their rank is 28th in defensive DVOA as well. So they've got a bunch of injuries that they're dealing with. They're also dealing with a bunch of rookies. I've noticed that their young guys, who is it? Byron Young. And who's their other rookie? Yeah, Braden Fisk as well. They've been able to get a bit of pressure, and Jared Verse as well, have been able to get a bit of pressure on the quarterback. But I think Seattle's going to be in an okay spot here. Defensively, for their back 5, they're relying on Kobe Durant, Quinton Lake, Cam Curl, and Josh Wallace. Have you ever heard of any of those guys?
Pretty underwhelming.
Those are their starting corners and safeties.
Yep, so, that's going to be a high-scoring game.
So I think we're in a pretty good spot here. Like I say, yeah, over-under's at 46, I think it was. That's usually because Seattle's sort of been... We've been struggling to score a little bit. We're still finding the offense with Ryan Grubb, but I know that Ryan Grubb absolutely loves Jackson Smith-Njigba as well. So I think this is a get-right game for Seattle. We can get back into the win column here. So give me Jackson Smith-Njigba over 55.5 receiving yards.
Love it. Love it. I don't know what his receptions are at, but if they're under 5, like if it's 4.5.
He's sitting at 5.5 receptions, so that's a little bit higher. But Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are both going to be playing in this game. Matthew Stafford's going to be playing. I think they're going to light up the Seahawks as well, so we're going to need to pass a lot to keep pace with them. They've got some pretty good lines as well. Kupp is at 66.5 and Puka Nacua is at 62.5 receiving yards.
Puka one kind of scares me. Like last game seems so weird. There were 6 receptions on the first drive.
Yeah.
Such a weird thing to watch.
He had 7 catches for 106 yards last week against Minnesota.
If you take out the first drive, it was... I mean, maybe it's because of adjustments. I don't know. Puka kind of scares me in this game. Cooper Kupp, though, it's a little juicy.
You know who has been absolutely insanely good is Kyron Williams. He has a line of 92.5 rushing yards. Holy shit.
That's high.
That's high. He's been getting it. Last week,
Yeah.
97. He had 102 against Green Bay, 94 and 89. He's been getting it. And Seattle, we cannot stop the run at all. James Cook just destroyed us last week. So
what's
it's
Kyron
doable.
minus 225 for anytime touchdown?
Anytime?
Yeah, it's good. Like it's, you know,
But Kyron Williams 2+ touchdowns. I think I like that as just like a standalone bet. I'm into that.
No, I don't know. It's one of those things where there's no more money in Kyron Williams.
Yeah. Yeah, we've missed it. These two teams play each other really hard. Like it's usually a high scoring game between these two. It kind of always has been. They've never had a low scoring game.
No, you say that maybe over the past couple years, but these teams used to tie each other.
Yeah.
They used to play and tie 8-8. And you're like, how did the score even?
No, you're thinking of the Cardinals. You're thinking of that.
No, with the Cardinals as well. That whole division 6-6. For like
the worst game in football.
That was a really bad one. But that whole division through the 2010s to the 2020s was just lock. Anyway, they are going to play each other hard. This is going to be, I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think you're right, John. Great pick.
Yep.
All right, John, my last pick.
I love this one. It's the one I've been waiting for.
This is the gift that keeps on giving. And we will keep taking, and we will keep taking until we cannot take it anymore. I love lines like this. I love when this happens, and it usually happens once a year with a certain player. John, you're religious about this. You'll do it every single week until they tell you can't do it anymore because they make the line so stupid that you can't take it. Mark Andrews, if you could find a clip and just insert it here, John, from one of our shows when I was like, this is what the week that Mark Andrews turns.
Yeah.
This is where Mark Andrews starts playing football. And they start utilizing him. Since that moment in time, Mark Andrews has been crushing his lines.
Yeah, crushing them.
And for some reason, they haven't adjusted. The man is still at, what's he at? He's at 2.5 receptions for, what's his receiving total? 40?
He's actually up to like 34.5 receiving yards now. So that is increasing.
Even 34.5. I mean, I'm just taking
sorry, you can still get him 29.5 on Bet365.
Holy crap. 29.5 for Mark Andrews. What the heck is going on? 2.5 receptions, John. We're going to keep taking this line until they don't let us take it.
Yeah. So
I don't know what you're waiting for right there. Just 2.5 receptions from Mark Andrews. If it's available right now, when you're listening to this, you go and take it. Be smart. Take it.
Yeah. So what happened here was a few weeks ago, it was week 6 against Washington. And I came to you and I said, Sully, did you know that Mark Andrews has a line of 22.5 receiving yards? And you were like, what? He's easily going over that. It's because he had those week 3, week 4, where he had one target for no catches and he was playing like 30% of the snaps. He must have been injured or something. And everyone had written him off. But the week before that, against Cincinnati in week 5, he had 4 catches for 55 yards. In week 2, he had 4 catches for 51 yards. And I looked at you and I said, why can't Mark Andrews get more than 24.5 receiving yards or 22, whatever it was? Right. And of course, he smashed it. He had 66 receiving yards. They didn't increase it against the Bucks. He had 41 receiving yards, went over. Last week, he had 36 receiving yards. Okay, a little bit less.
What's going on here?
A little bit less. But it's still more than 29.5 receiving yards.
Doesn't make sense, man.
He had 5 catches last week. 5 catches. He had 4 catches the week before that. 3 and 4 the weeks before that.
This baffles me, John.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Wild.
I'm tailing this. I'm glad you brought it up again.
If you don't,
because I just assumed, okay, I move on because I assume that they've caught up to it and I don't need to investigate it anymore. And then you come to me and you're like, nope, they're still there.
No, they have not. Yeah, they have not. And like, I hate taking the same players over and over again. I really don't. It's not that fun. But when it's like this, it becomes really fun because you're like, Really? Like,
Yeah.
really? Like last year, they did this to D-Hop like four weeks in a row where
Yeah.
you're like, and the guy's getting thrown to. He's getting 12 targets a game. Why are his receptions at 4? You know? It's the same thing. This makes no sense. No sense at all.
See, the only thing about this game that scares me a little bit, and this is where you could potentially justify it, is the Broncos are 5th in defensive DVOA. So they're very, very good. But that's really because Patrick Surtain has just been such an elite shutdown corner.
I was just going to say, against the tight end or against wide receivers?
Yeah, I'd be interesting. I'm not too sure. So their linebackers, Baron Browning, he's been okay. Cody Barton is weird. So he used to play for the Seahawks a while ago. He was terrible. He was mainly on special teams. He's like had a really good game the other week. But other than that, I'm not too scared of him. Jonathan Cooper's been okay. But yeah, Pat Surtain, Brandon Jones has been good. Jaquan McMillan, he's the one who has been very good as well. So defensively, they're okay.
So you have now...
But we're not asking for a lot.
Yeah, we're not asking for a lot. And not to mention, when it comes to the outsides, okay, I get it. You're going to want to cover Zay Flowers, and chances are, Pat Surtain spends a lot of time with Zay in this game.
Yeah.
Like a lot of time. They just went out and who'd they get? The Ravens just went out and acquired.
Deontay Johnson.
They just went and got Deontay Johnson. And I
don't think he'll be too much of a factor in this game.
Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time, a couple weeks, but I mean, still probably good for 5 targets, 6 targets.
Yeah.
Maybe more. Either way, you have to respect that because that guy has been for his entire career catching 8 passes a game. So you have to respect it. And then they line up with Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. And they'll have both of them on the field a lot. Not to mention Rashad Bateman, after he got drilled in the face with that 30-yard football, like he didn't know how to catch. Like it was like, alligator catch. And just
hey, man, Rashad Bateman has a line of 22 and a half receiving yards.
Don't do it, John.
I'm tempted. I'm tempted, man.
I know you are. I know you are. But yeah, this just feels like the first drive, Mark Andrews may have 2 catches, and then we're going to go, I'm going to send you a message. You're not going to be awake yet because you're in Australia.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go, Mark Andrews did it again. He did it again. And that just, if it's available, just go take it. Mark Andrews over 2.5 receptions.
The only other thing I could see as well is, so Surtain starts on Zay Flowers for like the first quarter, and then they realize that they're throwing the ball actually to their tight ends a lot more, and then he shifts to Mark Andrews as that primary receiver.
And then Zay Flowers catches a 60-yard touchdown.
Yeah. Deontay Johnson has a line of 20 and a half receiving yards. I'm not too sure he's going to be a big factor in this game, but that's not much.
No, it's not much at all.
I like Rashad Bateman, 22 and a half receiving yards.
Oh, you're nuts. Every time I say you're nuts, you end up hitting this friggin' prop.
I know. Every time you doubt it, it hits.
I just can't. The Rashad Bateman that I think of is the one getting drilled in the face at the 30 yards down the field of the football.
That's the one I'm thinking of too, buddy. That's Rashad Bateman, man.
I can't think about Rashad Bateman making me money. It's just hard. It's hard for me to wrap my head around. I'm just dumb. I can't think about it.
Yeah. No, it makes complete sense. He absolutely sucks, but he's been efficient. I actually shouldn't be disrespecting him. So last week he had 28 receiving yards. That sucks. Against Tampa, he had 4 catches for 121 yards. Against Washington in week 6, 4 catches, 71 yards, 58 yards.
That's a lot.
He's been good, man. He's been good.
Those are ball and stat lines. Why can I not think about Rashad Bateman as that wide receiver? Why can't I wrap my head around?
5 targets last week against Cleveland. He only caught 1 ball, but it was for 28 yards. So he would have gone well over his longest receptions.
I remember that. You had it. You had the over on his yardage, and it was on that one throw in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes left.
Yeah. Oh, that was week 1. That was beautiful.
You're like, duh, Rashad Bateman. Over, buddy. Like,
what did I tell you?
Like, come on. Come on.
While you're chirping me.
Yeah. It's so good.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, that's good.
All right. Let's wrap it up.
You done? You done with your picks?
Yeah. I think that sounds good. So I'm going to go with James Cook over 15 and a half receiving yards. I'm going to go with Devonta Smith over 56.5 receiving yards. And I want to go Jalen Hurts under 39.5 rushing yards. And Jackson Smith-Njigba over 55.5 receiving yards as well.
Okay, I like it. I played it safe this week. I really did. I didn't go after anything juicy. The first one, I wish I could be standing here saying Ray Davis over 1 receiving yard. I just wish I locked in at that. I just wish
I love that you're pissed off about the 2.5.
I'm upset. Like I could have had it at 1. Could have had it at 1. Ray Davis over 2.5 receiving yards. Like what world am I living in right now? Then over in the Cincinnati game, Joe Burrow over 1.5 passing touchdowns, and Alexander Mattison over 2.5 receptions. And then last but not least, the most bet thing of this season for us, Mark Andrews over 2.5 receptions. That's it.
Sounds good, man. That Alexander Mattison one scares me only from the perspective of I can see Gardner Minshew getting benched in this game, and then Desmond Ridder comes in and just rushes the ball for the rest of the game. So
no, he won't though. So the thing is there's a lot of check and release for Madison too, right?
Yeah. He has had a lot of production though.
Yeah, I don't. Then there's nobody else. There's nobody else in that backfield.
True. That's true. All right. Let's remember, like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube.
Yeah. Cue the drums.
Don't let the game play you. Stay in control. Gamble responsibly. In Australia, phone 1-800-858-858 for free and confidential support. In Canada, learn about safer play at Know the Risks from the Responsible Gambling Council at knowtherisks.ca. In America, must be 21 or older and present in Arizona. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. Colorado, gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. Connecticut, if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. In Illinois, Maryland, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Indiana, gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Kansas, gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com. Louisiana, if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP. In Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support. Play it smart from the start or call 1-800-GAM-1234. In Michigan, gambling problem? Call 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help. In New York, for help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Tennessee gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789. Wyoming gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. Prop Nation betting show is for entertainment purposes only and should in no way be considered financial advice.